Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's Charlie Fibrosis, and today I am going to be introducing a new segment that I like to call After the Flag. So what After the Flag is that we will be talking about the performance that I had most recently in the sim races that I ran. We'll be talking about how I thought about the car, how I thought about the race, parts where I think I could improve, thought, strategy, anything else like that. Just everything about the most recent sim races that I've run, and here to give my thoughts on all of that. So, specifically, we're going to be focusing on the IMRC Cup Series. Now luckily, they did go. Shane went ahead and started posting the finishing results to the races. So this is after all post-race penalties have been administered. So this is what you guys see typically in my recordings is just the race itself. Any post-race penalties may raise or lower our finishing order. For example, when we ran Michigan last year for season 8, unfortunately got into an incident with another driver. Didn't bring out a yellow, but I did cause them to wreck. That gave me a penalty, dropped me from a 10th place finish down to about 15th, I think. And because of the rules of the league, if you have a restart penalty and they see that post-race, you get posted a lap down, and everyone moves up at least one spot, depending on how many drivers have that violation. So let's talk about Talladega. So the finishing order was Zach Rogers in the number 6, Cody Lanas in 2nd, Jordan Probst in 3rd, Nathan Chiani 4th, Robbie Gilvin 5th, Danny Bouchard 6th, Charles Belding 7th, Natana Muerto 8th, Roger Ray 9th, Dylan Poteet 10th, Tristan Allen 11th, Tyler Mallon 12th, Cole Baker 13th, Felipe Trechera 14th, Andrew Lemke 15th, Tristan Wilhoit 16th, Chris Wetz 17th, my brother Grant Warren in the 33 car 18th, Arnold Columbia 19th, Daniel Day 20th, Ricky Johnson 21st, Henry Nova 22nd, Dylan Connolly 23rd, Austin Ogo 24th, me 25th, Michael Norman 26th, Dejan Weeks 27th, Dylan Schwallenberg 28th, Sonny Tolman 29th, Brendan McDowell 30th, 31st Dunlap Brad, and 32nd Shane Sides. One of the biggest fields in IMRC history at Talladega for our season opener. We had 32 cars racing. Only 4 cars were not running at the end of the race. Everyone else, 4 cars were not running at the end of the race. Everyone else was on the lead lap and managed to make it to the end. So let's talk Talladega real quick. Talladega, the weird thing is that Talladega is one of the better tracks that I've raced on. I think an issue that I sort of had was with how big of a field it was. I didn't want to be too aggressive and run the risk of tearing up my car too early. And kind of more so, I was heavily focused on Grant and kind of coaching him and helping him get up to the front. So my own race, like, I figured, you know what, if I'm there at the end, I'm there at the end. If I'm not, you know, there's going to be a big one that will eventually happen. So we'll just have to try and navigate through it and see what we can gain in the process. And that's the thing that stinks. First off, I do take responsibility and apologize to Brendan McDowell. When the wreck happened, I shot down to the inside because the entire level of the track surface was like completely covered in wrecking cars. And I made an error. I went down a little bit too far and lost a little bit of control. Accidentally hit the inside wall, and then it shot me back into the racetrack. And I was trying to keep my foot into the gas to either cause the car to rotate and spin out. So I'd be pointing either with traffic or towards traffic, and that would mean that less cars would have a wider part to hit. There's more race car, obviously, on the sides than there is the bumper or the front. And I figured, well, they may be able to get by me if there's anyone that's trying to do the same navigation. I've just hit the wall and I've lost control here. And as I was trying to kind of like gas it to spin or gas it to like turn it back onto the racetrack, I'm in hood cam. I can't really see as to what's going on to the right or left of me, and I just ended up accidentally hitting the 66, and it was completely unintentional. I was trying to either slow the car, spin the car, or stop the car, and the way that the wall had me projected was going right back into the racing surface. So it wasn't intentional. I know that he's probably still pissed at me, and I get that. But there wasn't any intention in causing that, and it sucks that that happened. Well, honestly say that it sucks that it happened. And although it got sorted out too, I had an earlier race incident with Tyler Mallon. Me, Tyler, and Charles ended up all losing the draft, and I was just trying to tuck in behind Tyler, and I was trying to see more so, okay, how are we going to do in a 3-car draft when we need to catch up to cars deep ahead of us? And I was kind of just sort of locking bumpers, if I'm going to be honest. I was trying to see what I could be able to do if I got up and just really shoved. And kind of a little bit too, everyone drives a little bit differently, especially in the draft. So I was just kind of seeing, I know that some people probably get a little bit more shifty, trying to run the regular race line, starting up near the outside wall and then arcing it down into the corner. Or maybe they want to run, at least on the Superspeedways, they want to run the outside of the racetrack, and it's I was mainly just trying to see, can I get behind? Can I push really hard? And can I see that, especially if we're going into the backstretch or so, that either locking bumpers and or just chain bumping, so to speak. If someone gives me a shot into the back end and it pushes me into you, is it going to react that it's then going to chain bump into you and we're going to get just an inch or so ahead of the field if we continue this? So I just timed it wrong. I was just trying to stick to his rear bumper, and I nudged him ever so slightly in the tri-oval, and I wasn't really trying to push too hard. I was really just trying to stay in the draft, because I know that you typically don't want to, lock bumpers, especially in the turns, but I measured it out just a little bit wrong, and I take responsibility for that. So, unfortunately, right at the end of the race, the big one did happen. The car was too torn up to really fight anymore, to go and fight for the win, but I figured with everyone running around like a swarm of hornets, there was a very real chance that there's going to be not only a wreck here, but there's going to be a big wreck. And truth be told, I was very close on this thought. I've always wondered what exactly would happen, how close it would be if you essentially had the case of literally the leader, second place, third place, all of them just go and wreck so hard, so violently, and just tear everything up. And we were very close to seeing that. I mean, I've seen, even for the finish of the race, the fact that the driver, the winner, I think spun around backwards across the start and finish line and was still the winner is impressive to me. And just I was under the impression that there's going to be a massive wreck. And even though that we are lumbering around, limping, at like 175 miles an hour with all 4 gears. And we're hunting on aero and we're hunting on damage. Like, we can be able to snake our way into a top 10, best case scenario. Fortunately, I went and I followed Cole. Cole didn't do anything wrong. I simply thought that there's a gap ahead of him, and if he makes it through that gap, with all the cars now going to be washing down the racetrack, we are going to be able to scrape the outside wall and take a really hard hit into the outside wall. But we are going to come out of this clean, and we're going to gain like so many positions as everyone else wrecks behind us, below us, and anyone that was wrecking in front of us are now sliding down the racetrack. I went into the back of him, like I was prepared to stop, but I was looking for just draft and following someone through the line, and that hole with all the smoke, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Luckily, Cole managed to get out of there and get a 13th place finish, which is good on him. But yeah, unfortunately, not a good run for the Ford Motorcraft Davey Allison Tribute machine. So, did what I could do, and it wasn't enough. But we got out of it with a... Yeah, Grant gets away with that with an 18th place finish, and we slip away with 25th. Not good, not good at all. But it's also the first race of the season, and it's a plate track. What do you expect? Stuff like that happens. And now let's go on to Auto Club. So the finishing results for Auto Club is Dylan Poteet, DJ Curtis, Dejan Weeks, Tyler Mallon, Cody Lamas, Charles Belding, Ricky Johnson, Chris Wetz, Andrew Lemke, and Henry Nova, cleaning out your top 10. 11th place, David Alvarez. 12th place, Zach Rogers. 13th, Felipe Trechera. 14th, Shane Sides. 15th, Dylan Connolly. 16th, me. 17th, Daniel Bouchard. 18th, Grant Warren. 19th, Michael Norman. 20th, Nathan Muedo. 21st, Dylan Schwallenberg. 22nd, Pedro Eva Lucas. 23rd, Roger Ray. 24th, Nathan Kiani. 25th, Sonny Tolman. 26th, Will Goss. 27th, Austin Ogo. 28th, Tristan Wilhoit. 29th, Robbie Gilman. And 30th, Zachary Stoltz. So let's talk about the track, the race, everything. So the issue that I had with Auto Club was initially, that is, turns 1 and 2 felt fine. Front stretch felt fine. Back stretch felt fine. It felt great, actually. Didn't really have like the traditional bumpiness that is Auto Club's backstretch. Like the car wasn't bouncing up and down on the racetrack too bad. So felt really smooth. 3 and 4 felt weird. Like it felt weirdly tight. And I don't know if the turns and banking at California are identical. So 1 and 2 is identical to 3 and 4. I'm led to believe it is. It doesn't look to be any different. I know that in the case of, well, Michigan's a 2-mile track, but in the case of Kentucky, as it's a 1.5-mile track, I know that the banking is a little bit different at that track. The surface is definitely different, and the tightness that is from the entrance of the corner to the exit towards either the back stretch or the front stretch. I know that Kentucky is tighter from entry to exit than in 3 and 4 than it is in 1 and 2. It's not identical. It's a little bit different. So yeah, it kind of felt like that. Kentucky last season had a certain level of tightness to it that was very frustrating to understand, but pretty much after practice and into qualifying, like I finally figured it out. I finally started to understand how to get around the racetrack. Starting the race, average, did what I could. We got into a little bit of a green flag run at some point, and I know that I blew by Daniel Bouchard, and I was fighting with Michael Norman for many laps, and I kind of learned something there. Like, the first instinct was, you know what, I'm just not going to focus on overdriving it, and especially putting the throttle down hard, trying to fight this 21 car. I'm going to try and make minor adjustments here and there, see what I can do. And eventually, I figured, okay, this is how I'm going to be able to get it to stick in the corner, using this much throttle, this much steering, a little bit of brake, and this is how the car needs to be rotating. And as soon as I feel it ready and it's not going to, like, the back end's not going to slip out from underneath me, punch it in the throttle and see where it goes. And it worked. There was like one or two really, really dailing hard passes that I made, and it was awesome. And it made me really, really happy that that was the case. There was a minor incident that wasn't labeled a racing deal and everything like that. I felt really, really bad about this, all things considered, but there really wasn't much for me to do. Will got loose, so he got hit in turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. I don't remember which turn. And I'm gunning it for the throttle to try and just keep the car from sliding. Giving it too much throttle, the back end's going to loop around. Don't give it enough throttle, and someone could potentially run over me. And I just like gave a glancing blow to his driver's door from my passenger side, and just I don't think that's what screwed him up, but it definitely didn't help straighten him out. And I figured if I slammed under the brakes too hard by accident, I was going to end up looping it either way. So I thought he was going to be able to straighten it out and save it, but by the time, and I shot to the inside of him to try and make a move to pass him if he was still going to spin, and it was just bad timing. It was really, really bad timing on both of our parts, and unfortunately, he later ended up dropping out of the race due to wreck issue. Now, the biggest thing, and I definitely take responsibility for this, was me and the 15. Now, I feel bad about this because I don't even really understand how it happened, but we run into the corner, we head off into the turn, there's a wreck in front, and you know, it's not raced back to the line, but I'm definitely going to like try and avoid the traffic. And the back end is sliding out a little bit. I triple checked the replays. I didn't get hit or anything like that, but we're talking like we're about 3 wide. Now trying to avoid this wreck that's now created in front of us, and something just happened. Like, I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden, when I was trying to slow up and get into the brakes a little bit so I didn't run into anyone, it went from the back end sliding to the back end shifting the weight the other direction, getting tight, and then just launching straight up into the wall. And unfortunately the 15 was right there, and from the onboard, from the hood cam, I couldn't tell how much damage there was to the car. I know that I walked a little bit into him, and his car was like completely torn to shreds, and just destroyed. But I thought that his car was the worst affected. No, I was affected pretty badly too. The back end, the back bumper cover was torn off. The roof has got damaged. The sides are all bashed in. They did shut the engine off for a brief second, but it is what it is. Yeah, like a split second. And it was fine though. It was weird. It was really, really weird. So I didn't try staying out. I only stayed out one time when I still had my car in really good condition, because I just wanted to see what it would do. I wanted to see if there are certain cases where I have been able to have the lead, and somehow I've managed to take a good restart and actually be able to run with it. And I was kind of tired of sitting in the back, but I just wanted to see what happened. And unfortunately, I slid up, got into a wreck and everything like that, and I took the claim, I believe, and everything like that. And I feel bad for those that got involved, but if you want to see what your car can do up front, you sometimes have to be willing to take that risk. And the other point was, is we had so many cautions, it's like, okay, what's the point of me pitting for tires? My tires are in solid condition. They only have like a lap on them. Let's just see what I can do with it. So I get the frustration. I do. But it was a combination of like there's no damage. There's no or barely any damage to my car. Maybe minus a wall scraper here or there. These tires are brand spanking new. Everyone else is pitting. There's no reason for me to pit, and if they get by me, they get by me. Nothing lost. You have to try and go for that shot, though, and just see what you stand for. And see what you can do with it. So, and I typically have the issue that I cannot race my way up to the front. So it's rare that I'm ever there anyway. So try to see what I can do on a restart. See where that lies. So yeah, and then I had a little incident. Car got loose. Pedro got into the back of me. And I was trying to save it, and it held him up and caused a wreck. And I felt bad about that because Pedro's like one of the sweetest guys that I've met in the NR community, and as him being a newer person in IMRC and everything like that from last season, he's just a real sweet and wholesome dude. So I felt bad as to what happened. I really, really did. Didn't mean to screw that up or anything like that. I just kind of got loose, and I was trying to save it. And I was trying also to get as high out to the outside wall as I could to let faster cars down below me, because I knew how damaged the car was. But yeah, like it just wasn't enough. And I did everything that I could in that moment. Maybe if I moved up into actually hitting the wall, maybe it would have been avoided. I don't know. But we led 2 laps. We get away with a 16th place finish with 10 driver points. Yeah, looks to be about 10 driver points. So the points battle is really, really something. To double check, I don't know if it's point to point perfect or so, as it's not completed yet. But the way that it's looking, we're sitting in 24th in points. We're tied for 23rd actually, and yeah, we've only got 11 points, and the leader, thankfully, it's Cody Lamas, our teammate and driver in Warren Racing. He's got 45 points. So we are 34? Yeah, about 34 points out of the lead. And it's like a 3-way tie for 12th position between Nathan Chiani, Ricky Johnson, and Dejan Weeks. And we're only separated by like a few. They only separated by a few points for like 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. And 13th is the cutoff point. So we could have a really, really great week in Nashville and be able to make up a massive points deficit. We could go and we could win the race, and we would be able to make up that points deficit. And winning one race, all that takes, a win equals you're in, so long as you meet the starts requirement. And we're definitely going to hit those 5 starts that are needed to make it into the chase. So as to where we go from there, I don't know, but hey, I mean, it is what it is. The cool thing is Grant is sitting 19th. He's 16 points. Like, it's definitely going to be a drag-out season, and it's going to be real difficult. And I don't know Nashville. I haven't run enough practice laps at Nashville in any car ever to really get a good taste of as to what it feels like. But there's definitely going to be some racetracks ahead that I'm definitely looking forward to. Looking at the season for the schedule, we got Nashville, we got Kansas, we got Pigs Creek, which is another plate track, so we could win there. We got Atlanta, Pocono owes me something, Iowa owes me something, Boston owes me something, Daytona is the last race of the regular season. Anything could happen at Daytona. Kansas owes me something too. For a 90-lap race, Kansas owes me something. So, with all that being said, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this series. Going forward, the plan is that these videos will be recorded generally on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, typically. Whenever we get the official results for the race, pending any post-race penalties and whatnot. And they will go over the most recent race. Instead, this debut episode is just going to be to wrap them all up into one, and there we go. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again next time.